Today I'm joined on a panel with some amazing leaders here. We're really excited to speak and have a great discussion this afternoon. I'd like to just go down the line and Dan, if everybody just say their name, their title, and a brief description about what you do.
You forgot, if they haven't had a good time, you're treating at the bar after.
Oh yeah, that was gonna be later. We'll see how the retention is after.
We know it's the last one. I'm not having any fun at all. My name is Dan Russell. I work here in Chicago for a company called City Cruises. We operate cruises down on the Chicago River, out on Lake Michigan, Navy Pier, and then similarly around the United States and California, the Northeast, Canada, over in England. So we essentially do hospitality on the water, sightseeing, events, dinners, lunches, all that good stuff. Meetings just like this out on the water. And we have a very close relationship with many hotels because many hotel guests come and enjoy our products. So it's a good partnership. Thank you.
All right. Well, first of all, let's give it up for Torres and his team here at the Westin. Like, seriously, give it up for him. Awesome facility here, buddy. Thank you so much for hosting us. But I'm Brian Boyd. I am the VP of Learning and Associate Engagement for Grand Pacific Resorts. We are a resort management company really focused in the timeshare industry. And we're based out of Carlsbad, California, which is North County, San Diego. We have 24 resorts that span California, Oregon, and Hawaii. I've been in this role for about 4 years now. So, yeah, good for you.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jessica Rauschenberg. I'm our Corporate Director of Human Resources at Great Wolf Resorts. I'm from here in Chicago, based here in Chicago, and I've been with Great Wolf Resorts since 2021. If you're not familiar with Great Wolf, we refer to it lovingly as Kid Vegas or as a cruise ship on land. We are a family of water park hotels. We also have a variety of different food and beverage outlets and attractions, really all centered on making sure that our guests and the family who stay with us experience joy, strengthen their own pack while they're spending the time, and make really great memories.
Thank you. All right, well, let's get into some great questions. The first question I've got for Dan and Brian: how do you ensure you're hiring people who genuinely reflect your brand values, and what does an effective 30, 60, 90-day plan look like to build engagement early on?
Well, I'll take the first part. Maybe we'll break this down. Okay, how do we find people that reflect our brand values? First of all, we need to know what those are. And so for us, we've got a corporate culture called respect. It's kind of I call it a holy trinity of an identity statement, a set of shared values, and then a set of shared behaviors that we want to make sure that we're all exhibiting to our guests. Nobody comes to our boats that's just going out to dinner like my wife and I do because we just don't feel like cooking or whatever. Everybody's there celebrating a special occasion. And that's a very important distinction. I worked in restaurants before. And quite frankly, a lot of people were just going out to dinner. That's very important, obviously, in its own way. But everybody on our ships is doing something, special, a corporate event, a birthday, a wedding, whatever it is. So making sure that we're imparting that in the interview process, and that we're seeing the reaction and that folks understand what that is and they're excited about it. That's a really big deal. It also comes down to obvious details of the interview process. This is a hospitality business. It is face-to-face. It's live, not virtual. We want to see the individual. We want to speak with them. We want to feel their body language, hear their enthusiasm or lack thereof, and talk openly about what we do, what their experience is or isn't, and how that can apply to us. We definitely talk about the technical parts of the job. We obviously have every restaurant function that you would find in a restaurant, both in the front and back of the house, but we're also maritime Coast Guard inspected vessels, out on the water. So folks understanding the safety aspects of that. If they're interested in working in the maritime field, which is a vast field with huge responsibilities, we want to know that too. And we obviously are hiring in that area. So looking for that too. Having those questions be similar across the board so that we can take accurate notes and then benchmark after you've spoken to 100 people. It's like, okay, how did they all answer this? And getting it into kind of a database to have those discussions. And in the end, you're really looking for fit to culture and to the mission of creating these amazing experiences that we're trying to do out on the water with the crew that we have. The second part, the 30, 60, 90. You want to take that one?
Well, I'll piggyback a little bit on that, but So for us, if you're not familiar with the timeshare industry, for us, it's really getting individuals who understand the impact a vacation can have on a family experience. Because in our industry, a lot of the people that travel to our resorts are coming for a week-long vacation, and it's a lot of generational experiences. We have owners that have owned in our timeshares for 40 years. They brought their kids, and now their kids are bringing their kids, and now their kids are even bringing their kids to that same property, that same unit, and just having those shared kind of memorable experiences throughout time. So that's a big focus for us, is making sure that people understand that when you're serving our owners in the timeshare industry, that they're coming back because of these memories that they have, and being able to deliver on that memory, not just a one-off experience traveling to a resort somewhere across the world for a family vacation. It's something that's instilled with them and our owners at our resorts. But when it comes to kind of that 30, 60, 90 day, one of the things that our organization has done is we've created what we call our GPR fundamentals. And our fundamentals are 31 different behaviors that we focus on in our organization that really define who we are and what we're trying to accomplish aspirationally, right? And I think the one fundamental that really just resonates with me is keep things fun. Like, that's something that we really talk about a lot. And we want people that are coming into our company, coming into our resorts, as associates, that can do that. They can keep things fun, and it's not always fun, right? There's always times where it's not fun and it can be laborious and things like that. But at the end of the day, like, if we can keep that mindset going and rich and fluid, that's really important for us. So really going over those fundamentals with them in that first part of their hiring process, getting them to understand the expectations of the job and what we're looking for, and those expectations set up front, and keeping things fun, just really sets the stage for that. And then the next piece that we're really focusing on right now, going back to kind of our foundations, is we're starting a journey of career pathing that's going to combine lattice career pathing and a broad banding approach. So for us, what that does is that allows us to explain to associates that we're not hiring you for a job. Ultimately, we want to hire you for a career in the hospitality. And with a lattice and a broad banding approach to career pathing, we're allowing associates to understand that their role can either go in a linear fashion up toward kind of a traditional path of like leadership, or within that same realm, they could go into more of a specialty role, or they could stay in that role if they choose to, because they enjoy it so much. Because some people don't really want to grow into other aspects of their roles. They love what they do. But when the lattice component comes into that, is then we're going to be able to cross-function into different areas and give people an understanding of, you may start here, but that doesn't mean that's where you have to be or where you have to end up. And so we're providing them with a lot of choices and opportunities, so they understand in those 30, 60, 90 days the key things that they can be focusing on to get them to where they want to go in their career. So those are some key components for us.
Yeah, I love these different aspects of looking at how we hire people in our areas. And it was interesting what Janine said earlier in one of the panels about we're seeing a 74% turnover rate in hospitality, which is kind of a terrible thing to do. But I see that the leaders on this stage are really turning the method of that and really showing the positive how to keep people. If I can add on that as well, the culture that we build here, we have new hires. We want to build culture, and we want to talk about what culture is. And, what our hotel really thrives on is authentic hospitality. I tell associates all the time, at the end of the day, we're just a hotel. There's 1,000 different hotels. Guests have the opportunity to stay wherever they like, but what makes us authentic with our hospitality? Catherine had a great presentation yesterday where she showed a slide, if you guys remember, the room attendant who found the toys on the floor in the guest room. She took the toys and tucked them in bed as they were sleeping. That's authentic hospitality. And, that's what we try to push here with our staff here. And that's what keeps people coming back, and that's the kind of people you want to hire for. That's the people you want going in here. And that's what you kind of want to train through your 30, 60, 90 days you retain your employees in and so forth. So great opportunities there. My next question is for Jessica and Brian. So how are technology and smarter scheduling helping you balance operational efficiency with maintaining a people-first culture?
Yeah, I don't mind kicking this off.
No, they've already heard me talk, so it's your turn.
I took this a little bit from an HR lens. So actually we used AI-enabled recruiting tools. And so that has really helped us, one, just bring in more volume at the top of the funnel, and then more quickly get us scheduled with qualified candidates, and really taking away a lot of that administrative burden and some of the back and forth from our operations leaders. And so with that then comes the expectation that those leaders are coming to those interviews on time and ready to engage. And really importantly, from sort of the beginning moment all the way through the end of that interview, taking the extra few seconds to introduce themselves, not just quickly glossing over, but making sure that they're telling their mini Great Wolf career story as part of that. If they've been with our brand for a number of years and grown through different positions, encouraging them to include that as part of their introduction in the interview. And then really treating that potential PAC member, we call our associates PAC members, as if they're the host during that interview. And so really, as we just kind of discussed, the importance of weaving in and demonstrating our values, demonstrating how we bring joy to families, and weaving that into the experience that we have throughout that process with the candidates. And so really, you know, I think people hear AI and in recruiting, and there's certainly all kinds of conversations around that. But the way that we look at that is at Great Wolf is really removing some of that friction from the process, freeing up that capacity for our leaders then to really not sacrifice the human connection, but really spend some intentional time behind it.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk more about kind of the things that we've implemented during, you know, once they're already within the organization. And I think a few of the technology tools that we've implemented that have made big impact is we use a system at our resorts called No Cross. And No Cross is a communication tool that our resort associates use, and it spans the maintenance team, the housekeeping team, and the front desk team, and it allows the communication amongst all the teams in instant time for them to understand what's going on around the resort. All of our associates have iPhones that they have, and they're able to utilize the platform so that when there's a communication piece that needs to be sent out to the associates, whether there's room readiness pieces that need to be sent out, whether there's maintenance scheduling issues, housekeeper can go into a room, they can submit a ticket right there on their iPhone. It instantly notifies a maintenance tech that there's this issue in this room, and in order for this room to be ready, this needs to be handled and scheduled and completed. And that's been a really key component for the technology piece and the communication amongst our resorts. So we've completely eliminated the use of walkie-talkies in our resorts, which has been a really big lift for us as well. And then I think just going back to the simple use of technology in regards to surveys, implementing, we have exit surveys, we have onboarding surveys, we have pulse surveys, and then we have our traditional engagement surveys. And we're really focusing on utilizing that data to drive our operational efficiencies in the best possible way, just from the voice of our associates. That's been a really critical component for us around our leadership development, our training initiatives that we need to implement, whether it's around soft skills or more around technology skills, or just enhancing the experience for our associates as well. And them knowing that from these surveys that we're creating action plans around it and speak to specifically what they're focusing on has been a big component of what we do to be successful around that.
Yeah, I'd say balancing technology and efficiency in the hospitality industry is, you know, a hot button, I'm sure, for everybody. I mean, obviously you saw with the conference and summit this week, how many vendors do we have talking about that kind of technology and giving the opportunity for those at the tips of our hands as well. You know, one of the things, just simplistic things that we do here at our property as well is we have an app called UKG, and UKG is our scheduling program where we put in all our schedules for our associates. But you know, it's great that an associate can just go on there and look to see what their schedule is. They can request time off through that app. They can actually clock in if they're near a time clock and don't have to wait in line. But you think about an associate, like how many times does an associate try to call into a hotel to try to figure out their schedule, and 9 times out of 10, all of us managers were probably on the floor running around crazy, so we can't answer a phone to tell you what your schedule is. but you have these opportunities through the technology, and it just seems to, improve more and more. And we're learning a lot through our different business partners as well. So great opportunity with that. My next question is for Dan and Jessica. How are you equipping employees to grow within the organization, whether through leadership development, cross-training, or new learning formats?
Yeah, absolutely. So certainly development is something that's extremely important to us at Great Wolf. And whether that's going to be with a seasonal pack member who we want to demonstrate that we're invested in and interested in them returning summer over summer, or whether that's going to be with a leader who we hope stays with us for a long period of time, we want to demonstrate to them that that's something that we're invested in and is important to us. And so that comes through in a variety of ways. One is certainly that we do have formal development programs at all levels. So we've got a supervisor essentials program, a management development program, multiple key talent programs. And what's really behind those is a lot of cross-training, spending time at different lodges, spending time even with different departments, and sort of working in cohort-based groups in order to build kind of good, sticky community and cross-learning. Now, in addition to that, I know I heard this mentioned a couple of times here today even, but we do have a certified trainer program as well, and that's primarily oriented towards our frontline pack and really helping them to step into leadership roles and putting them on a path towards a supervisor position if that's something that they're aspiring towards as well. And so with that, we really, again, just find that we leverage those certified trainers in particular to then go spend time within different departments within their home lodge, but they'll also be tapped to be part of task force to go spend time at other lodges, particularly if we have new lodge openings. And it's really seen as this kind of celebrated and special experience and getting to make some really meaningful connections across the brand. And so I'd say whether it's a formalized learning and development program or just opportunities to make sure that we're fostering those moments for PAC members to feel like they're able to shine, they're able to connect with fellow PAC members, especially outside of their daily working group. We find that that's something that helps them feel like they're invested in, helps them feel like they're important, and keeps them around with us.
Yeah, for us, we do a fairly unique thing, this hospitality on the water type thing that we're doing here. And so back to the hiring, making sure that when we're hiring, when we're looking at the folks who, as you were saying, Brian, some folks just, they want to do what they want to do and they want to keep doing it for a long, long time, and that's okay. Others do want to grow, and so knowing who those are. And so as an example for us, we have a very robust internship program, especially here in Chicago. And it is amazing to see how many students or just folks out in the workforce, will go and do front level service jobs, because anybody who's going to succeed in hospitality, you have to have cut your teeth at some point. But then combining that with a more rigorous exposure to managerial positions, be they in sales and marketing, HR, IT, office work, or front of house, back of house management. And it is actually very doable, for all of us. And you can kind of toggle that amount of time depending on your business needs. If folks just have to work a lot of shifts that week because it's busy, or you've got more time to expose them more to these other areas. So that leads to a lot of natural cross training, having folks work down on our ships, for instance, but then be able to shadow shift a manager, be able to go up and follow a salesperson on the office floor, or an office manager, or an HR or IT professional, even for a number of hours or days, to get that exposure, to see that spark and generate that interest, and give them that opportunity, to ask it and have those questions answered. We available our executives like myself to do Q&A sessions with all of them. Very, very high turnouts for those who are interested. Beyond that, and I would consider these, basics, but making sure to do the obvious. When there are positions that are open for growth, post them. Even if you know exactly who should do it, post it anyway. You don't know who might show interest. They may not be the right person for that role, but now they're interested, and that's good. So now we can keep talking about, what's going on there. So there is no downside to posting every position. Learning management systems, they're everywhere right now. There are great suites of LMSs out there that folks can do on their own if they're interested in something, and then follow up, with live training or live sessions, on board our ships in this case, or at hotels or restaurants or anywhere else. So these are all different little strategies that we've been able to employ that have helped in the growth category. And to be clear, just like I'm sure with all of you, having folks homegrown, so to speak, is awesome for these specialized businesses, as opposed to having to go to the outside, certainly for any significant leadership role. We'd much rather home grow our folks.
Yeah, and Torres, can I add a little bit to that?
Of course.
Just to kind of add to another thing that we have found has generated a lot of success for us when it comes to our leadership development. We embarked on a journey about 2.5, 3 years ago to really like go back to the foundations in our organization of what exactly does it mean to be a leader in Grand Pacific Resorts. It was funny because I was having a conversation with my COO. And he said to me, Brian, I just don't understand why some people just don't behave the way they're supposed to. And I said, well, have we ever told people specifically like how they should behave?
Yeah.
Like, has anybody ever gotten up and be like, look, as a leader in this organization, this is exactly like what we expect of you? And he was like, I don't know if we ever really have like defined it specifically. You know, I think it's more of kind of those nuance of like, well, you're a leader, you should act like the leader, you know? So we decided to embark on this journey, and we put together a cohort of individuals in our organization. There were about 15 of us in this cohort, and from all areas of the organization: marketing, resort ops, individual contributors, senior leaders, executive leaders. And we put together a plan to really understand how do we define what a leader is in our organization. And so what we did is we embarked on this journey where we went out to our associates and we asked them kind of a 360 of like, what do you think a leader at Grand Pacific Resorts should do and behave like? And we collected all of that data, and they all came back with and they came back with a list of like 150 things, right? And we were like, whoa. But then, of course, as you kind of like look at it all, you can find patterns and you can find things that are similar and kind of start to consolidate and consolidate. So we went back and we went back and we went back and we iterated and iterated. And we ended up coming up with our leadership competency framework. And what we ended up doing with that is we identified that there's really 4 levels of leadership in our organization, right? There's first level leaders, there's frontline leaders, there's senior leaders, and there are executive leaders in our organization. And we assigned 6 very unique attributes to each levels of those leaderships. And then what we did from that is we've tied everything in our organization to those leadership competencies when it comes to leadership. So all of our training initiatives, every single one of them ties to some type of leadership competency or multiple competencies. Our performance management process, everything in there ties back to our leadership competencies. And so everything that we're doing now in our organization, and every time we have a training going on or we're talking in our leadership groups or whatever, everything that we're doing is tying back to those competencies. So it's just a common thing that's being said all the time and repeated over and over and being trained to. And we've seen such a growth in our organization around the way our leaders are now responding and reacting to our associates, and the way that they're kind of approaching their leadership in more of a understanding of what's truly expected in the organization. Because we really believe that top-down leadership and setting those expectations really trickles down into what is going to happen with our line level associates. When they see a leader act and behave a certain way, we hope, and our theory is that they will start to act and behave a certain way. And then we just kind of build on from there. So that's one thing that we've found that's been very successful in our organization.
Yeah, you know, Janine with Choice Hotels, she said something that resonated with me earlier today. She said, you know, when you're looking at employees and you're growing them within your organization, you know, you want to attract them with inspiration, you know, meaning like, you know, talk about what your organization has done to have these initial, you know, associates want to be with you, you know. And one of the things we pride ourselves with this hotel is just the growth we see internal. I mean, I'll tell you myself, I started with this hotel as a director of operations and was promoted to be a general manager here on property. And it's not just me. I've got tons of associates here that start as line associates, moved up to be supervisors, assistant managers. I've got some managers that moved up to be director levels, and it just says a lot about what is done here on property. And it says a lot about the mentoring that we need to do with all of our associates, that you give that opportunity like, hey, I can grow fast with this opportunity. You know, a lot of hotels, a lot of organizations, a lot of companies don't have those resources to do that. You know, we take a pride here with it's not one person that wins. When one person wins, we all win, you know? So we love seeing people grow. We love seeing people move forward in our company and specifically here on the property. And it tells a lot about what we do every day when we do that. So just, you know, great opportunities with that as well. My next question is for Brian and Dan. Okay. What forms of recognition have the biggest impact on keeping frontline employees motivated and connected to the brand mission? And what initiatives outside of the day-to-day job responsibilities have you invested in to reduce stress and improve retention?
We to kick that off?
Sure.
Well, listen, feedback, it's a human need. Everybody wants feedback. And hopefully if you're hiring right, everybody you hired wants to do a good job. They may screw it up or something goes wrong, but they want to do well. And so constantly giving feedback, these are the basics that I'm sure, you know, all of us are doing. It's very, very important. You know, and I'm sure we all have, you know, methods of doing that. Having regular reviews, whether they're pulses or quarterlies or annual, that is great basic hygiene. This is a human business that cannot be forgotten, and giving that feedback, both positive, but also here's what we can work on, and here's where this can lead to, and telling people that story and making sure they're invested in that. Back to the culture, tying it back into the culture, you know, for us, you know, how does this tie into the values that we all share and the behaviors that we want to see, you know, go on the floor or outside of our vessels, making sure that that's in there. And then outside of that, those day-to-day things, making sure that you're doing something unusual. We have some unusual things like taking, we have every single month, we go through and there are stories that are submitted, and we use technology. It's called the Recognize app. Anybody can submit. Hey, Torres just did this today. It's amazing. Or Brian just did this even more amazing thing. And those can all get bubbled up into a little committee to go ahead and select those and give prizes away, quite frankly. Anything from awards that we do on a call that we do every single month to award these. And then within each port, and this is easy to forget, but we're running these wonderful hospitality products that our crew can enjoy as well. And so we take our crew that kind of was the best of the best in what got submitted, and they go with their general manager and cruise on one of our higher end vessels in each of the ports each month. It is an awesome opportunity for them to feel the best of what we have to offer, but also get to know the managers and what's going on, and for us to get to know them better. And we will literally compile, you know, what was said about them from their peers and from their managers, and read that in front of everybody. And it's very, very powerful. So using things like the Recognize app, having events like MVP cruises in our case, and then just non-reward oriented gatherings of whatever kind, just to get everybody together and have a little happy hour, or have a fun day if it's a down day, just to do activities and enjoy each other's company, not for any reason, just because we appreciate you. Let's have some fun together. It can be on property. You can do trade arrangements with somebody else. They do a lot with hotels. Anytime you guys want to do that. I see the London House guys over there. We've done it with you guys. Thank you. It's awesome. And that way each crew gets to experience each other's, you know, products. So having all that. And then the last thing, you know, I'll mention and is to have an orientation about your culture and who you are, to kick things off. And that can usually be done, well, always be done really, during the training period as they're working on their technical aspects of their job, learning how to serve or bartend or host or be a deckhand in our case, but also learning about your hospitality culture, to have that orientation, to have speakers, notes, decks that make sense and that get people excited and really get things kicked off in a big, big way during their career here. It's a really big deal. And then you can tie all that back as you're recognizing them later and coaching them later on where they're maybe not getting it, to tie it back to that exciting orientation and all the information in there.
Yeah, I love what you're saying, Dan, about using feedback as a key form of recognition. I think it's so overlooked. I really do. I think people look at feedback. I think when you hear just naturally, you hear the word feedback, you immediately go where? Negative, right? Like honestly, that is just where we as humans go, oh, you got feedback on this. So I need to give you some feedback on that. Or when you're in elementary school, oh, the principal's got to give you some feedback, right? And I just think that that's awesome. I think it's such a great way to approach feedback as a reward mechanism as well. For us, I'll just keep it simple for this one. We have a simple program. It's just called our Be Epic Moments. And it's similar to what Dan alluded to, where we have associates. We'll at our resort, so we don't have HR on our properties at our resorts. So we have an internal HR from the home office, and then our resorts specifically don't have HR teams. But what we have at all of our resorts are what we call our culture champions. And these are individuals who are kind of more high potential associates who have been identified as culture champions. And we have a monthly call with our culture champions to go over like initiatives and talk about fun things that are going on in the resorts, or what can we do to ramp up engagement initiatives or whatever. But one of the things that they're in charge of at the resorts is Be Epic Moments and getting our associates to recognize each other and submit those recognitions through an online platform as well. And what we do with those is we take all of those Be Epic Moments throughout the course of the month. We've taken it kind of to the next level, where once we get all of those submissions, we take the submissions and we kind of cherry pick the ones that really are the ones that stand out, true moments of hospitality. We send those out to our culture champions as a collective. We vote on them. They vote on the top 5 or 6 of those Be Epic Moments for the month. Then we send those to our COO. He then takes those Be Epic Moments and writes a handwritten thank you note and puts a $50 gift card in those and mails them to the associate's home. And they don't even know that that's coming. So there's a day when they'll get home, they get a handwritten thank you card from our COO with a $50 gift card. And then what we do is we pick 1 or 2 of those top ones and we send out company-wide emails that showcase and spotlight those Be Epic moments of service that we had in our organization. And not only do we highlight the individual who had the Be Epic moment or who served it, but we also highlight the person who recognized them. And we showcase that person as well, because we think that being able to recognize someone for a particular moment of service is just as important as that moment of service that was done. So that's just one thing that we do that stands out.
I mean, there's great opportunities here for, really reaching out to our employees and so forth. And it really resonates with me about how, we're reducing the stress and that we're improving the retention with our team. And, another thing that, we pride ourselves is we have associates volunteer in the committees that are things outside of the hotel. It's great when you can bring in great revenue, great guest satisfaction. That's what you should be doing as a hotel. But if you really want to be a big dog in the hotel, you're doing more. For us, we have a community outreach committee where we do something different every month in the community of Lombard, in this village here. And associates are involved in that. They can get involved to do things. Last month was Breast Cancer Awareness Month. So we purchased pins and we sold pins to all the staff and guests that had breast cancer awareness, and all the proceeds we took, we didn't just donate to breast cancer awareness. We found a local organization called Cancer Smashers out of Darien, Illinois. And there's actually young high school and junior high kids out of this organization. But all of that money that we donated went to them and worked with the organization to really put that word out about breast cancer awareness. In December, we'll do a thing where we have an adopt a family program with the hotel, where we work with the York Township area, where we will adopt a family in need with 6-7 kids. We'll get the great guest list or a list of all the toys the kids want. And then we do a breakfast with Santa with our associates here, where all the associates come, they bring their family members. I mean, we have like 400 people come for that, but we invite that family with those children to come too. We settle right next to our big gigantic tree in the lobby, and we take a great picture and just enjoying those kids' hearts to see those come in there, fellowship with us. It lets associates know, like, wow, it's bigger than just this job. It's big about the community. So we're really big on this retention with that, and it really goes a long way. So.
Therese, do you mind if I add one more thing
Please.
here as well? I think, and this may be part of what you all referenced with your programs too. I think I just highlight one thing is that was a big game changer for us, was also incorporating guest feedback and sharing that and lifting that up to help tell the stories of PAC members. So certainly important to make sure that peer-to-peer, we're treating each other well, demonstrating our values and celebrating that. But we, this year, actually invested in a platform where our guests are able to scan QR codes throughout their stay, and then that feedback gets filtered through positive only. We still get the constructive feedback, but it immediately gets texted or emailed to that PAC member. And one of the biggest things that we've heard when you talk about kind of stress and resilience, and especially when the operation can be extremely busy and demanding, the PAC members have said that on their worst day, at the end of their shift, opening up their phone to getting multiple guest positive feedback helps them feel like it was really worth it. And so even if there were some challenging guest interactions or some down moments, they feel like that's a bright spot that helps them keep coming back and wanting to be better every day. And so I certainly think that whether you've got a platform and it's kind of easy to get that feedback directly to your associate, or if there's an opportunity to review guest feedback and still include that in what you're celebrating and share that publicly, I think that can really do a lot, both for motivation, for, again, that stress resilience, but also tying those behaviors that you want them to demonstrate back to rewards and recognition, and making sure that you're then highlighting them as an example for what really great looks like, so others aspire to do the same.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time. And, it was great to kind of have this great conversations here. If there's more questions that you may have afterwards, you can see any of us off the panel afterwards. But I want to thank you for your time with us today.